Yo, what is up everybody? My name is Shrimp and welcome back to another video. Today we are basically going to make color block tower. I mainly add, let's see, so if I were to continue from last tutorial, today we are going to basically remove these platforms and then make this into smaller platforms all across, this map. And then on top of that, we're also going to add some leaderboard stats. So you know who's winning in your game, in the color block tower game. So yeah, let's get started, and appreciate y'all for being here. Alright, so the first thing we actually want to do is model the map. I will remove these platforms, and I just want this platform. I guess, in an ideal game, you'd have like a spawn area, but I'm just gonna, make everyone spawn on this exact spot. So, okay, first I need to make this smaller, so I'm going to do scale. Let's put it down like this, and that should be good so far. Okay, now we also want to keep this on the same level as the spawn, the spawn point. Let me look at this. Okay, it's quite a ways down. So I'm going to move this up. Perfect. And then I want to align it. Oh shoot. I also want to align it this way as well. So bang and up a bit. Of course, again guys, you can do align tool to align everything perfectly, but I'm too lazy for that right now. So again, scale, I'm going to scale it even smaller. And let's just see how big this is in real life. Or like in the game. So yeah. So right there is the size of the platform. So that's actually perfect. So all I need to do now is just copy these throughout the entire map. And let's do that here. Okay. I mean, you guys get the point. Basically, I'll leave it up to you guys to create a better map. But essentially, now we have a color block. We have all these. Oh shoot! Now we have all these different types of blocks, invisible blocks that you can use. Like, look. Ooh, ain't that lit though? Okay, I like it. All right. So yeah, everything looks good. And now we have to do the leaderboard. So in order to script the leaderboard, we actually need to go to a place called server script service, and we'll be creating a script in here just called like let's rename. Shoot, sorry. So let's rename this to leaderboard stats. Okay. Right now it's just normal print hello world, but in the leaderboard stats, so what a leaderboard is basically when anyone joins, we're going to basically add a new column to an existing file called leader stats. So first off, let's get a bunch of these players. So you do game.getService players. This gets every single player in your game at that moment, and then we're gonna create a event called players.playerAdded. So every time a player is added to your game, we're going to connect on player added. So local function on player added is the function name, and then we're gonna actually pass in the player that just got added. So what this event does is that when a player is added to your game, it fires this event immediately, and then because we connected it to this function, we're going to be running instructions in this function. So in this function, here are the instructions we're going to do. We're going to create a folder called leader stats. And then we're going to set the fields that we want to track. Okay, so how would we do that? So let's first create a folder called leader stats. So we're going to do local leader stats equals instance.new folder. What an instance is that it's like, so folder is like a class, and instance is just like a instance, like a example of that folder class. You might have to do some Googling to understand what instance is, but like a common example people use is like for cars. So when people say, so say I have like a car class, an example of an instance of a car is like a Toyota or a BMW or a whatever, any of these brand car names. Those are instances of car class. If you guys are confused on that, I can make another video, but I don't want to lose track of the purpose of the video here. So we created a folder, and then we want to have properties in that folder. So we're going to do name equals leader stats. So this is the actual name of the folder. This has leader stats.name has to be this in order to show the leaderboard on the right hand side. If it's named anything else, this will not work. Okay, so this has to be here if you want leaderboard stats. Okay, and then we also want the parent, which is the actual player that gets passed in. So every player will see, so every leader stats is associated with the player that has just gotten added. Okay, and so that is that. So this is everything you need to like have the leaderboard. And now we will be adding different fields we want to track. So because we want to add like we want to track the points of of this game, we are going to add a points instance called instance.new int value. So that means points is of this class. And then we want to name the points. So points dot name, and then we also want to do points dot value equals 0, and then points dot parent is gonna be the leader stats. So inside the folder inside the folder right now we have basically an int value or a number that is a child of leader stats. And you can actually add as many, you can add more fields to track if you want. For example, like you can add other things, like instead of having just your name as the leaderboard and points, like your name and points, you can even add other stuff. So let me just run this right now to show you what is actually here. So right here, we have the leaderboard, right? We just added this points, but if you want to add other things, you can actually, add another field. So if I want to do, I don't know, penalty. I'm just making up some stuff, but or I'll just do new field. We can do instance.new int value. New field dot name equals new field, and then new field dot value equals 1000, and basically new field dot parent equals leader stats. So this format allows you to add as many fields as possible in your leader stats. So if I run this here, I will have right here new field. So this allows you to build leader stats, and yeah, so this is how we're going to actually track the points. All right, so let's actually delete this because it's not part of our example. And yeah, this is looking good so far. So now what we actually have to do is find out what logic we need to do to actually increase the value of our leader points when we play this game. Because right now my points is going to be 0, and it's always going to be 0. So I need to add some logic to actually change that and to add points up here. Okay, So let's die really quick, or let's just exit out. So now that we have leader stats, we're just going to add some logic here. So we are going to increment points every second that the player is connected to the game. This is very oversimplified, and you guys are going to use better logic in future games. If you guys actually want me to create a full-fledged color block tower, let me know in the comments, because I can probably do that pretty easily. But basically, we're going to have a while loop, and this is going to be like another infinite loop. So while true, and we're going to wait 1 second. So every second that you're alive or in the game, basically we're going to have we're going to get all the players, in the game. So players get player. Oh wait, what is it? Players.get players. Wait, what? So in the game, we're going to have an infinite loop, and every 1 second, we're going to get all the players in the current game, and then we're going to go through the list. We're going to go through each player and give them 1 point to their local, to their leader stats. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a for loop of current player 1, and then we're going to list through. So what this is that this is a for loop, right? And so basically we're going to go through every single player in the game, and then what we're going to do is we're going to add a point for every single person. So local player equals player list current player. So this actually gets here, I'll print this out. Print player. So I'll show you later. Local points, and then we're going to reference the points they currently have in their leader stats. Dot points. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually add a point to what they currently have. So +1. So to explain what's happening, so we're gonna we have everyone in this game, right? So say we have like 5 players. What we're gonna do is we're going to have a for loop of 1 through 5. So this is the first value, and then this hashtag is the list, is the length of how many players are in our game. So we're gonna loop through 1 through 5, and then we're gonna get out every single player in that list. So how we do that is that we basically get out every single player in that list. We'll print that later, and then what we're gonna do is with that single player that we pulled out, we're going to look at how many points he or she has, and then what we're gonna do is we're going to add +1 to the value. All right, so let's actually try this out. Okay, so right now I'm not getting any points, so I probably have an error. So let's actually check that error. So yeah, so the error I have right now is that I actually need to make this into square brackets, and I'll explain this later. But first, let's print out a bunch of stuff right now. So print player list, print player. Okay, that's good. That's good. Okay, let's stop right now, and then let's resume it back. So, as you can see, right now the points is actually working. And so let me just stop this really quick. But you can see that, so what is happening is that every time I'm in the game, every 1 second, I get the player list, get the players, and I print these out. So basically, because I'm the only one in the game right now, it just prints me out as shrimp on YouTube. And then, and then for this for loop, basically, if I were to have like 10 players in the game, it would go through every single player, and then it would access the player by doing player. So what this does is that it looks at the player list. So say I have 5 players, and then when you use brackets, you see like how I have this bracket of bracket 1. When you do bracket 1, bracket 2, bracket 3, whatever, you access this value. So what I was doing there is that, I was accessing my player because I am currently player 1, and so in this for loop, what I'm doing is that player list of 1 is me, and then I print myself. You can see I print shrimp on YouTube, and then from there, because I have access to myself, I then have access to my points, and then I can increase my point value by 1 every time I'm alive. So that's what I'm doing, and this would happen for every single player in the current game. Obviously, I don't have players in my game right now, so that's why you only see 1 player. So again, let me. So I'm respawning here. You can see it's printing out. Actually, let me remove the print statements. They're kind of getting annoying now. So boom, boom, and so every time I'm alive, I basically am adding points. Again, guys, this is a very simplified version of how like color block tower actually works. It's the same concepts, but they just have a little bit more logic, so they make sure you're alive. So the point system is flawed right now because even though I die, I am still in this game. I'm technically still in this game, and so my points never reset back to 0. So let's create some logic where when I do die, I reset my points back to 0. So going back to leaderboard stats. So before I kind of explain this, before I explain how we do this, I need to give some background information. So in your game, when you first load in, you load in what is the player. You load in a player, and then after you load in the player, you load in your character, which is, you know, your avatar, which is my like shrimp on YouTube actual avatar. And so in your avatar, there's events that allow you to track when you die. So what I need to do right now all I'm doing is actually getting the player, but I need to actually get the character, I actually need the character, so I can get the event of when I die, and then I can do some logic to reset the points. So what we're gonna do is in our leader stats, when we first add a player to our game, we're going to do player.character added, which is another event, and I will be passing in the character that I'm creating, and then I'm going to create a function called onCharacterAdded, and I'm going to pass in the character and the player in. You can see I already have the player variable here because this, I have the player character here, and then the character gets passed in from the event I create. So that's now, you see there's a blue thing here. Now I need to actually create onCharacterAdded as a function. So local function onCharacterAdded, and so I am passing in the character, and the player. So once I have this, inside your character, there's another thing called humanoid. So from what I understand, so you have your character, you have your player, and then inside your character, there's also something called a humanoid. So humanoids are inside characters. It's an instance of inside characters, and it allows it to do things like have a health bar, use it to animate the actual character, and they're basically to give it humanoid features. Your character represents like the avatar, right? And it holds the character scripts, like how it sounds, like the walking sounds, the movements of your character. So like when I am like clicking to go forward, it contains the scripts that helps your character move forward. Okay, so once character added is fired off, we then fire local function on character added, passes in the character and player as arguments. And then what we do is that we're actually going to get the humanoid inside a character. So we're going to have local humanoid equals character, and then it's a child of the character. So wait for child humanoid. And then once this happens, then humanoid has an event called .died, which fires off whenever your character dies. Whenever, the character dies. And then from here, I will reset the points to 0. So I'll do local points equals player.leaderstats points, and then points.value equals 0. So that should then reset the points. So let's try let's see if that actually works. So right now I'm accumulating points. Pretend I'm playing. Whee! Okay, and I die, right? Yes, you can see that my points goes to 0 and then restarts to increase because of this infinite loop right here. So right now the resetting is working. But let's create some logic here. Let's create some logic here where we want to determine who's actually alive in this game and who's actually dead. So we're gonna create an attribute for the player called isAlive. isAlive. Right now, isAlive is false. So when the character is added, we're going to actually turn isAlive to true. So player.set attribute isAlive, and we're gonna make this true. So if player loads in, initially isAlive is false, but when the character added is loaded into the game, we turn him back to true. And then when we die, we're going to then set the attribute back to false. Alright. In our while loop, so we want to check. So we're going to have an if statement. So player get attribute isAlive. So if this equals true, then we want to add some points to the player. But if it's false, current player. Oh, actually, hold on. Sorry, I actually do want this player, and then we want this to be above the if statement. So, okay, let's figure out what's actually happening. All right, so when we first join the game, this event gets fired off. Players.playerAdded connect, and it calls onPlayerAdded. So onPlayerAdded, it creates the LeaderStats instance of the folder. The name is LeaderStats, which it's mandatory to have. If this is not named LeaderStats, this will not show up. Then we want to link it to the actual player that the LeaderStats refers to, which in this case would be Shrimp on YouTube. Then we create the points. Points.value, points.parent, related to LeaderStats. And then initially we set isAlive to false. Because, so the reason we do that is that we want to make sure that the points aren't being added before your character is actually loaded in. But once the character is loaded in, it fires off this event. And it passes in the character that has been loaded in. So, and then you call onCharacterAdded, which is a function. So, okay, now we go back up to here, onCharacterAdded. So when the character is fully loaded into the game, we will then set attribute to alive. So the character is alive. We'll start adding the points. And then, eventually when the humanoid dies, we're going to call reset the points to 0. We're going to turn the value to 0, and then we're going to set attribute isAlive to false. And because this is now false, you will no longer get additional points, because this will return false and it'll skip this if statement. But every time you are alive, this if statement will be true, and then you'll be adding points over and over again. So let's actually try this one more time. Bang. Okay, I'm in. Oh, wait, I have an error. Expected not calling set attribute. Oh. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, you need a colon instead of a dot. So let's add this. Let's keep playing. All right, guys. So yeah, this is the final game. I mean, you can see here I'm collecting points. Okay, I die. And then I respawn. So this was Color Block Tower. In a real game, of course, you would add rounds. And so that when you die, you can't respawn again until the round has started. And on top of that, you would add, you probably would not want these blocks to respawn. Actually, I don't know. It's up to you, maybe. And that would be kind of like a Fall Guys thing. So it's totally like, this is just kind of the basic instructions to get you started with a game similar to that. And yeah, it's one of the, like, you can make Color Block Tower pretty easily. If you guys want me to do Color Block Tower from beginning to end fully, like do rounds, declare the winners, all that stuff, let me know in the comments. If more than 10 people want it, I will give it to you guys. So this is kind of the end of the beginner tutorials. Let me know how this series went. If some things were confusing, just let me know in the comments what you guys want me to clarify, and I'll make a video for you guys. I appreciate everyone stopping by. Hope you have a good one, and happy coding, guys.